one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
Discover crypto, family. I think we're discovering a max bid fake out happening in the chart, but is it to the upside? Is it to the downside? I do want to say right now, I am here with my number one co-host. My doggo is sitting at my feet, snipping at my heels. I'm feeding it peanuts, but also my main man, Mr. Druth Crypto. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. Just slammed a burrito. Made tons of videos today, but also farming on a new decentralized exchange incubated by Binance. I got all kinds of things I'm cooking up. Very, very excited about life in general, invigorated by the charts. And man, I had a great trade in the middle of the night that if you aren't trading in the middle of the night on an illiquid Sunday night, are you even a trader? Right? That's the question I asked myself on the couch last night. It went great. Our TA from this morning actually played out right before we went live on this show as well, Kelly. So,
Dude, I mean, absolute to perfection. We talked about this with the price action sitting up here in this zone. And we said, okay, this might look like a bull flag. Everybody's going to target up here 115. It's got to go there. And we've been talking about it for the last several weeks. I've been talking about it for the last few years over on BitLab Academy and here on Discover Crypto. But the market seems to set up what could be an absolute bullish signal that fakes out the opposite direction before following through. So we talked about this washing out a bit down into the 110s, potentially even down into the mid 109s. And that was partially because not only the liquidity that was there, look at that. It's like a moth to a flame. Just tap it. Actually, let's wash some suckers out one more time, coming back up. And yeah, we nailed that. For those of you that are in the Discord, that link is in the description down below. And depending on where you're watching, it might be pinned up to the top as well. But get in there because we broke this down to perfection.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic work. It always is nice when our brostrology goes our direction and Trump shuts the hell up and doesn't say anything while my trades are live. So my teeth look itchy. Drew looks like you did
well, here's the deal. I'm wondering how spicy that burrito is because it looks like your upper lip is sweating, son.
Oh, dude, that was spicy. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it's a little hot in here. I went to the gym. It was chest day, pushed myself, and then got right into the hot seat and have been on air trading, farming airdrops, like all kinds of stuff, like literally all day. So it's been absolutely nuts. Plus, I'm a little bit extra excited, Kelly, about what's happening tomorrow with Chainlink, the Federal Reserve. Got some side notes on it, and actually some hopium for Ripple people out there, some XR people finding some hope in the connections of October 22nd. Not the Federal Reserve, but Ripple is finding a seat at least somewhere within the next version of money. So we're going to look at that. I got the story, but Kelly.
And just to be clear, you're doing a video and upload tonight that really breaks down what's going on with Chainlink, right?
Absolutely. It's going on tonight at 7 p.m. And really, I went through the whole like over the last year, we've had many, many hints of New York Fed, BlackRock, all of these different organizations getting in connection with CCIP, Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol. Now, tomorrow, pretty cataclysmic day, but there's a lot of extra information that I dive into tonight that matters a whole hell of a lot for our bag. So I'm very, very excited about that. I have a lot of conviction about Bitcoin. And it's been interesting seeing some of the people I know that work at BlackRock really agree with me on Chainlink's outlook. So I don't feel so crazy. And nearly doubled my trading bag last night from the trade. So I'm feeling good. I got a 78% trade on L Bank last night. If you want to trade with me, we got the absolute perfect call. We flipped bullish at like the perfect time. 78% right there. And I was keeping myself safe. You know, I've been snooping around for this trade for a little bit of time. As you can see, like $15 gain, $7 gain. I've been basically cautiously fishing on the trade side. For the entry points, the signals, they are working. And so I can get in a position, the price moves to my expected direction. And then I just put the stop loss above that entry point so I can go on with my day focus on the children. And honestly, you know, I got a story to tell. We got to talk about dogs here. Okay. So I got a 8-foot tall Jack Skellington. It's this thing, you know, for anyone that, oh, and your dog too, but anyone that knows Jack. Okay. I have an 8-foot tall robot Jack Skellington and about a 6.5-foot tall Sally robot. My Cane Corso dog Roomba is sleeping right in between both of these robots and their motion sensor. So when dog moves, the robots start going nuts, and then he almost goes through the freaking wall. I was like in the middle of the road, like, oh my God. And yeah, like I was up to like 2:00 or something like that, trying to keep it down, keep the trades going. But I'm working hard, dude. I got to get a new roof on the house, and don't want to use any of my crypto bags, obviously. So I'm actively fighting for more tether. It's going well so far. So you know,
but Drew, question. There's a lot of people out there wondering right now. They're now convinced the top of the market cycle is in. It's proof because we broke down a mere 17%, and it's on the date. So the date says we have to break down from here. On the other hand, we're seeing overwhelming sort of long-term bullishness in the corporate players, institutions that are stacking in. The fact that we have Fed interest rates cuts coming next week, very likely, further cuts likely happening in December. We're seeing just a landscape suggesting bullishness where people are still hanging on to a timeline that suggests it has to happen again. So if you had to say it in one sentence right now, is the top end for this year?
No,
not the cycle this year.
No, it is not. If we think we could out trade BlackRock and nation states and everything in between by subscribing to a hardcore 4-year cycle time frame and selling what we call and expect the Pico top in October, all based off of 4-year metrics that didn't include treasuries from Wall Street firms. They didn't include sovereign wealth funds. They didn't include strategic reserves. None of these parts of the equation were existing last bull cycle or the cycle previous to that or the cycle previous to that. If you think that you are going to outtrade Larry Fink and his researchers and all the tiny hats that are interested, like Lutnick, in stacking Bitcoin, and you're going to dump Pico top on them in October, and then 2026 is going to be a bunch of pain in the US and just going to let their monetary system basically fall apart without quantitative easing, you're kidding yourself. So there you go. That's that.
and then so we have all of the landscape surrounding, right? The context that we try to parse and figure out what it might mean for investors and capital flow in the markets. But then we also have charts, and I'd love to share a couple of charts just to highlight why I think very, very firmly, and I'm investing in a way that I do not think that we are, hitting near the cycle top. And so we could dive into these charts right here. First one up here from Decode at Decode Jar. Make sure you give him a follow. Just looking at the blue. Don't know anything else about the chart. Look at these blue waves. Look at what's going on in the price action up here. When these blue waves, you go from going negative to when we got that crossing point. Where are we at in the cycle? Crossing point. Where are we at in the cycle? Crossing point. Where are we at in the cycle? So similar to this, we also have the ISM, which is essentially, you have the global business cycles, right? In addition to the RSI. And look at how low this is. This marks before the move. This marks before the move. And we are very similar in that structure. Similarly, if you just look at the most basic thing, you can look at RSI and Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands basically give you a hint as to how volatile the asset class has been. When it hasn't been moving a lot, you get these constrictive periods that at some point are going to need a big expansion. That could be to the upside or downside. But again, we're weighing this against some of the other data we know about the global monetary increases.
The thing. Right? That's the thing, man. There's so many different, and this is why I feel very strongly like we're going to keep going exactly what you're talking about, but the importance of having an understanding and a basic wherewithal of where macroeconomic policy is going to move markets in general and the reasons why is important to add on to the context of the data that Kelly is showing you right now. Let's get into your data here.
Yeah, I mean, simple. RSI, even if you don't know what Bollinger Bands are, look at the RSI. Say we have a descending slope here. We've never got anywhere near this. We've never got anywhere near being in an overheated territory. I cannot abide. I do not abide, sir, that this is coming into the end of a market cycle. And then we got this sort of roadmap that I've laid out months ago, back in June. You can see it connected here on that chart. But I mean, does this look bearish to you? This just looks like the part of, the cycles where you have in price structure, where you have some accumulation, a little bit of a washout. Okay. A lot of accumulation, a pretty large washout, 74 down to 48, and then 48 up to 109. And then, oh my God, it crashed from 109 to 74, previous range top. And then yet again here, we're straddling, we're sitting on this little, horsey outside of a supermarket, wondering if I put a quarter in, can I ride this? Yes, you can ride this, because look, every time this price action interacts with this level, it's very important. So it makes sense right now that it's taken some time to break through this, but I think these targets are still very much in course. I'm curious, everybody in the chart, if we're going to continue higher and you had to bet, which one of these targets do you think we're going to hit within this cycle? And that I don't mean by the end of this year. I mean between now and the end of next year. Do you think we'll only hit 188? Do you think we'll hit 240? Do you think we'll hit 322? Let me know what you think the top of the cycle is. Or you can say, Kelly, you're an idiot. The top's in. It's going down from here. I'm curious, really, what you guys got to say. But there's one more chart I wanted to share, and that's this. As bullish as we want to be, and as much as it might feel like we're being moon boys because it's going to go up, up, and away from here, it's just going up and to the right. Well, we have some things to pay attention to, and namely being this right here. Short-term hold across basis is at $113,000. So as bullish as I am, I do know, and I'm aware, and the data also suggests we are at a contentious inflection point right now. That is this a washout trap for the bears? Or is any pump from here a trap for the bulls only to get reversed back to the downside? Because when you see this right here, this cost base, this go under the short-term holder cost basis, it historically has been fairly rough in previous markets, previous cycles. In this cycle so far, we have had periods of time where the price action goes under the short-term holder cost basis, which proved to be an incredible bear trap. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this right here. Now, a lot of squiggles on the chart. And I'm going to make it very simple. Essentially, what we're looking at here is the ratio of the value of the network, and then as that's weighed against the 90-day transaction volume. So are people trading or not? And if I just move my mouse over here, I want you to notice the line up. Let's just go back over here, and I'm looking for when this blue wave comes down to the lower bound, this green line here. Look at where this marked. Incredible bounce, also the bottom. Look at when this came down in this zone. The setup for higher. Again, right here, set up on a dip for higher. Again, right here, even though we were in a bear market, it did have a strong bounce. But getting over into this cycle, come down and tap this. Look at this. That was the move from 39,000 up to 74. Again, right here, we had a move from about 58,000 up to 71. And then this is where it gets exciting. This is that sell-off, the tariff sell-off. Well, once we finally came down here where people were not paying attention, this is people not paying attention. Nobody's trading. This set up the slingshot from $76,000 to $125,000. And we're coming right into that territory again. I did a whole tweet on it earlier, just outlining where these zones have been when this gets into that very overheated zone. And in bull markets, it's only been the setup for higher. Even in bear markets, it's been a setup for a pretty large, 10, 15, 20% pump within that bear trend. Either way, we are looking for a pretty strong price action move here in the very near future to the upside.
Absolutely. Absolutely loving the chat. And I forgot to give a shout out to the chat. Johnny Be Good, Sean Miller. I just want to go give you guys a shout out. Nick, Jay Davis, Brickwall Studios. A lot of disagreement on where we are in the cycle. I literally am being very forefront. And first of all, is Pluto a planet? I say yes.
Well, when I was raised, it was.
What's that?
When it's crazy. When we were kids, our adults in our lives would say, when I was a kid, I'd have to walk up the hill both directions and there was pterodactyls. Now we can say to our kids, when I was a kid, we had 9 planets.
Yeah. My daughter doesn't believe that Pluto is a planet. They're teaching them wrong, man. Wrong. It is bullish on Jupiter. Yeah. Yes. I think Pluto absolutely is a planet. Okay. Now that we've got that out of the way.
Well, how do you feel about Uranus?
Feel great. I feel comfortable. It's a great chair. What can I say? It's a great chair. Let's go into stuff. I got some stuff tagged here. I do want to look at liquidity levels. Let's see here. I'll check it out. And how should I put this? Oh, exactly how to. It always screws it up when I squish the liquidity chart down. Let's pull it up here.
Well, I can do it on mine.
Oh, yeah. Well, Let's look at what we got here. We already took out the liquidity to the downside. Can you check out the larger time frames though? Like I want to see like the 1 week, 3 day, a little bit larger backed up look here, because you know what I think?
No data. AWS is screwing us.
Dude,
I thought we lived in a decentralized world.
The Bears are being too cocky. That's what I noticed last night on the timeline. I was seeing $50 million short just opened up on 40x and $75 million short open up 50x or whatever it is. The Bears are getting too cocky. They think they got it figured out. And this is what you have to ask yourself. If you're sitting here, is this the top for Bitcoin? Is this the bottom for the dollar? It's not the question. Is this the top for Bitcoin that you should be asking yourself? Is this the bottom, the bare floor for where the dollar's going to be? That's a rough, very direct question for you to ask yourself. Let's get into this stuff. Let's check it out.
So here's the 48 hour. We did come down and tap this. We do have some liquidity popping up around the 109.5. Also a little node down here. It is a couple $100 million when you go through them all, about the 106. If you get at a little bit larger time frame, the weekly, for instance, here we go. We do have more liquidity above us. And I look forward to this stacking up. And I hate to say this sounds so harsh on people, but the market's going to eat the most people alive. Yeah. Wherever the most people are betting, the market's going to go the other way. So I'm asking each and every one of you, if you're going to do it on spot, exit positions if you don't believe, okay? That's on you. You have to make your decisions of when to enter, when to exit. You may not get another opportunity. It could drop, it could not. If you're putting 20x, 30x shorts here because you're sure there's the end of the market, I feel very confidently you're only going to donate your liquidity to somebody else to buy their third boat or their third, I don't know what I just read on the comments, but I caught Drew and something else, but
I bring all the comments out. I'm not afraid to bring out the comments out. I'm a confrontational individual with a smile on my face. I'm sorry. Go on, Kelly.
No, but we have basically free liquidity in the charts, and big money players see this and they go, okay, we can ebb this market up into this territory. And what happens is once these are forced closed, these are shorts, that is a forced buy in the market. So it basically covers the positions of big players. When they come up here, they can scoop up this liquidity. Exchanges make a ton of money. And then what the question's going to be is on the move up, if the price comes back down, where do the bulls come in? Is this is a slice through this, which is called a short squeeze, is a slice through that super unhealthy where there's no bullish buyers that are going to defend it on its way back down? Or do we get a Bart Simpson pattern, which is something like this, where you do get a slice up, chop, and then it comes back down to figure out where the bulls came in. In this case, the bulls came in pretty fine. If this continues down, then that's a failed move. Similarly with what we're looking on this liquidity. So we do have the majority of liquidity above us as it stands. And I'm curious to see how this goes the next week as we get closer to the Fed rate hikes, the Fed rate cuts coming next week. And also the softening stance from Trump's talking points about the Chinese tariffs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. This is breaking news, Kelly. Breaking news just came out. We got to go to it. Okay. A 60-year-old man in Demorest, Georgia, was arrested for DUI after allegedly taking a county-owned excavator for a joyride, damaging a mailbox. Danny Ross Robinson now faces charges of DUI and theft by taking a motor vehicle. I love this comment too. I want to discover crypto. You'll post the different altcoins you have financially gained from shilling their coins. We shill a lot of different coins for free. I know that we had a partnership with FAKEOut like last year. I really think that FAKEOut, even during that time, the interoperability play is something that is not sexy. And, the broader ecosystem has not risen. And also we had a partnership with Constellation DAG, which I still hold that project. It's a very low market cap with some of the most secure, like hardcore relationships with the government previous to all this crap going on that we have now. So I still hold my Constellation DAG. I held just a small amount of FAKEOut last cycle. It was a very good performer, but I think it's fair to say that Bitcoin dominance has it's kind of changed the way, and this is why I feel like people are so downtrodden, Kelly, is because Bitcoin dominance has not pulled back to the degree that we wanted to see in the crypto sector. That is something that I acknowledge, and it's brought a new data point where we're essentially 340 days, we're 335 days past the time frame where we expected Bitcoin dominance to pull back. So I do want your opinion on that.
This chart shows it. Oops, that's not the chart. Sorry, wrong one. Sorry. There we go. This chart shows it. This is everything minus Bitcoin. So altcoins. We've never really gotten into a strong, okay, we tapped all-time high, but we've never had real price discovery broadly in the altcoin ecosystem. We've had the runners like Aster and Hype and several, a couple meme coins here and there. But to somebody that the question earlier, I appreciate the question about will we say what we're paid to show. We don't. I mean, you see Bitcoin IRA at the top. You see Arculus. Both are incredible utility projects that do services for people in crypto. We've taken a very, very few in the last 2 years. We've taken very few. I think Polkadot was one. Constellation.
Bro, we should be sponsored by Chainlink, Avalanche. I mean, we should have partnerships with all kinds of them.
No, we're just we're looking at projects that have a great base case for what they're doing and how they're integrating. And some coins I've lost money on. And then, they rebound back up. So the market as a whole, the alts as a whole this is what people have dealt with. The fake altcoin season sell off, fake altcoin season sell off, fake or mini altcoin season sell off. The question is, are we going to get this move that everybody's hoping for? Everybody's wanting this move right here. If I can get out of that chart, here we go. How come nothing is loading? Nothing is loading.
AWS, dude. AWS is down today. You know what? Let's talk about this. Why is everything down?
Here we go. Got it.
Everything is having trouble today on AWS, Amazon Web Services, because the infrastructure of the internet needs an update. The design and application of blockchain technology is a complete revamping of our main use of communication in the entire world. We are looking at a worldwide disruptive technology, early into its days, nascent in its discovery, and really in this time frame, you better expect chaos. This is a disruptive technology aiming to fix problems that are actively happening right now with AWS systems across the board. We're trying to improve digital communication, digital data feed. Go on, Kelly. Let's get on to the charts here.
I know. Well, no, Dusty Mountain said, I really didn't expect an answer. Thank you. Was near ARB stacks paying for shows? No, those were just us looking at different areas of the market that had a high upside potential. And again, this is you can see in the others chart, everything outside of the top 10, you can see the frustration the entire market has faced. And I'm still fairly confident that this structure that we saw back in 2019 is very similar to what we see. Look at the shapes here. This is so similar. It's not like we haven't been here before. It's just taken a lot longer. In this case, let's look at the measurement here. How long was this? This was about 448 days. Okay. How long was this? This is 715 days. The same thing has taken place, including the washout here, which I talked about. I was like, I didn't think we were going to get this. But then on that flash crash that we saw the other day, in fact, I think you see it better on this chart right here. You can see that perfectly came down and watched. So the question is going to be, are we going to get something like this? It does have that huge expansion to the upside. This will happen if we get the 2026 continuation of the run for Bitcoin. It doesn't mean Q1 everything in alts is going to run, but near is still developing, and near is like they're developing some incredible things I think have not even been announced yet. Stacks is in the Bitcoin DeFi Bitcoin layer 2 ecosystem that still hasn't taken off. Arbitrum, that's that was one that Josh just had data on that he's looking at, and he thought that was going to perform well. And what have you seen? You've seen not those coins. The majority of every coin in the altcoin ecosystem has just made everybody think it's over. Yeah. And usually that's when the best opportunity comes.
Yeah. And I want to go through some of these chats. I love interacting with you guys here. So I thought everyone dumped Jeet token on my head. Where is this? Rebel Headspace. You're insane. I thought everyone sold my Jeet token. So I'm still planning on, I never sold a single one of them, but I'm still going to create on it. I was actually having a philosophical talk about that with Matt Malik, who's going to be coming on our show. He's with the Avalanche ecosystem. And, there's stories of people that just launch hundreds of tokens. They just rug over and over again. I believe in a slow, long-term build. And any token that is partnered up to us, it is absolutely very clearly stated, because we don't take partnerships with crappy projects. I protect my people, and I refuse to do that. I would rather go poor and protect my namesake than to shill some, dog crap out to the people. So that is basically my idea on that. I want to go through here, make it all poly market. And people trying to short Morpho. David Milton trying to short Morpho. Morpho's been treating me well. I gotta say, Morpho has been treating me really, really well. This is an interesting question. Expat in Avignon. Any suggestions, Drew, on a backup plan should some services go down? Now, there's a coin, ICP, that set out to basically build a whole new internet on Web3. And it was supposed to be like the decentralized version of internet and communication sharing. But essentially, ICP has left a lot of people with some serious icy balls. It has not moved since March of 2024, right? I want to kind of walk through a history lesson here. So let's go here. I'm going to tell you guys about my experience with this.
That's ICP, by the way.
Oh, that's ICP?
Yeah.
No. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, we're going to look at this. So last cycle, I saw ICP come out essentially at the end of the bull market, right? And there was all the hope that we would keep going 100K. And I wanted to support and believe in a decentralized internet. But what happened was it crushed me, right? I bought a couple tokens. It was a few $100s a token. And I decided
to ICP's credit, though, I do want to say, for anybody out there that loves ICP, I do want to acknowledge it's not just the organization's fault, the project's fault. A big part of and when you look at that chart where it like listed high, just dropped ever since, it's largely because of the mismanagement of what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda Research and FTX. They forced a very high launching point and then shorted the living hell out of it. So there was some negative discourse around, its alignment because of that, whether it was
they could have timed this out better though, right? Kelly? Like they could have at that time, 4-year cycle theory was very much still in structural play, and this could have timed out better. Here's the story.
What they do is, somebody wrote here too, Darth Mike said, worst investment, best tech. They do have pretty darn good tech. I've been to at different conferences. I've been to several of their things. I've met with different members on their development team. They do have pretty darn good tech, and I'm not counting them out forever, but they are outside of the growth narrative right now in terms of meaningful partnerships and integrations. I think that speculators are shaking off the sort of damage that is still lingering from what happened with the
Alameda Research was able to short ICP on God mode with basically, no margin calls, no liquidation ability, because they were able to just print money out of thin air to add to the position. I got a couple of these coins for a couple $100, got rid of them at $50, and then it went into the depths of the bear market. Now, here's a reminder to everyone that yes, I understand the feeling and the want to revenge trade. I exercised it on ICP right here. In September 2023, I saw it hit $3 a unit. So I decided, instead of having a couple coins for a few $100 like I did back at the end of the last bull market, I 1000x to my position of what I used to have, and I got a absolute buttload of these things for $3 a piece. And then over a very short amount of time, I gained against Bitcoin in an exponential way. Instead of thinking that, oh my gosh, it's gonna keep going all the way back to the all-time high, instead of thinking that chaotic mindset that people get when you do hit a winner, I cheated it at $16.50 a piece. And the reason why is because I was gaining in Bitcoin with my ICP holdings. the whole goal here for me was that I go into these altcoins to gain more Bitcoin. That is the entire premise of my involvement with these altcoins. And ICP gave me that season. I cheated it. People called me a fool. And who's laughing now? So it is sad to see it falling down this, but I think most altcoins, I would say 99% of altcoins are going to trend to zero against Bitcoin. Keep that in mind, okay? These things are small market caps. They move violently when they do move to the upside and to the downside. So when people approach me like, what's the safest altcoin to get into? None of them are safe. They're all disruptive technologies that at the time weren't even allowed to really prosper here in the United States because of regulatory shackles. So I understand that. I go in with that mindset.
Well, the other thing too, I'm going to make this really big so people can see it. Let me scroll down to the bottom of the page. Can I get down there? Where is it at? I can't see it.
What are you looking at here?
Can't see it because there's 25 million coins now.
Yeah.
It was at the bottom. It was at the bottom, but I can't pull it up. There's 25 million different coins now. Of course, I would argue 15 million of those are in overwhelmingly irrelevant because they're pump and dumps through token deployers. But even if you say there's 600,000, that would be orders of magnitude already larger than the number of coins that were available in 2017 cycle and 2021 cycle. And all, not all of them are quote unquote absolute trash. And some of them really have great action plans, but how many different partnerships can really get deployed and integrated into? Which one is going to take the lion's share? Yeah, I mean, look at what Chainlink's doing. People that hate on Chainlink, I'm like, and this is not a paid chill. This is looking at the data. They're speaking tomorrow with the Fed at a summit with those folks. Then they have SmartCon that they got the members of the Fed coming to speak out as well. Then 24 of the largest financial institutions that are basically in a working group with them, integrating the majority of all altcoins out there in different blockchains for cross-chain interoperability, DTCC, Swift. So yeah, but can every coin have those level of integrations? No. Will some of them shock us? Absolutely. I mean, Aster came out of nowhere, right? So,
and you know what? Here's the deal. We're doing a lot of giveaways of tokens on our arena show, the arena and the Avalanche ecosystem. I do believe we have a link down in the description, but everyone that shows up there, they're just going to get free the arena tokens. I want to talk about Chainlink, though, give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going on here. Chainlink got the entire industry addicted to it like a crack dealer. And now they've turned on revenue and fees for CCIP. So their fees went from $5,000 a week on average to $1 million a week on average.
They're parlaying some of those into the reserve.
Right. Yes. So they've created this flywheel where essentially the whole ecosystem relies on Chainlink for its data oracle services, CCIP, and they provided this service largely at basically no cost. Now they've turned on these fees right before they meet up and speak next to the Fed, right before they lead up the conversation with the Democrats on what's reasonable crypto legislation. Chainlink has a lock on data oracle services in crypto. That is easy for me to see. And so when I see this type of movement and essentially the neighborhood now relying on Chainlink and the CCIP, it makes it very, very easy for me to, when I see Chainlink's price going up, I get mad. When I see Chainlink's price going up, I get mad because I want cheaper Chainlink. I literally do. I've been a utility investor for this entire time. My purchases, and we were talking about this morning, but my first purchase was Bitcoin, ETH, then XRP, and I was a utility focused crypto investor, right? I wanted to find the next coin that banks were going to operate with and find that just tiny little toenail of integration with and have that massive upside. At the time, XRP, it was told, and understandably so, why it's believed by the whole industry that XRP is the next version of Swift, because there's millions of videos made about XRP flipping some imaginary switch, and all of a sudden banks are out of the way, and it's just Brad Garlinghouse and his bags of XRP that are pumping to the moon. It's not really the reality, guys. Chainlink is integrating with the existing system of monetary movement. Just like how ICP didn't integrate with the existing system of Web 2, it wanted to jump straight to Web 3. XRP wanted to jump straight to Web 3 on financial payment rails. It doesn't work that way. That's not the reality of the world that we live in right now. So sorry that I have to be a little bit forefront when I talk about this, but I really do care about the people that are in crypto. I want crypto investors to not go and top blast things and then end up having to ride it out for 4 or 5 years to find that escape point. That is what I wake up every single day, focusing on the charts into 3 o'clock in the morning when I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get my kids to school, because I care about you guys. I don't want you top blasting the wrong stuff. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm a little heated. It's the burrito. It's the burrito, Kelly. What kind of chart do you have here? What is this?
It's Chainlink.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look at this massive accumulation into like what I think is going to be an overwhelming slingshot to the upside now. And this goes all the way back to 2020, 2021. But if we zoom in, and we talked about it this morning, we've had this falling channel, which tend to be bullish. But what have I said on this channel for the last 2 or 3 years? These bullish patterns have been faking people out with washouts to the downside, convincing them it's not going to happen. And I mean, this just absolutely ate people's lunch. And we're coming right back into the next possible opportunity. And I talked about this potentially rejecting here, which it kind of is at the moment, having a little bit of a higher low here, and then breaking through, having some resistance at this previous range low, working its way up in here, probably getting pinched, and then making the move. But we need to see what happens with Bitcoin. We need to see what happens with the market in the next 2 weeks. I think the next 2 weeks is going to be a pretty big driver into what happens into the rest of the year. Because if there's no rate cut and there's super hawkish talk again, that could be pretty suppressive on markets. If there is a rate cut next week and the markets don't respond at all in a bullish way, then that kind of speaks to a little bit of an exhaustion of the liquidity in the market. But when we look at like S&P 500, I mean, look at this. This is a 4-hour chart. I mean, look at where it opened today. It opened on a gap up. And is now testing back near all-time highs. Apple hit all-time high today. Again, we got, I'm on the bullish side here with bearish caution, but I mean, I think the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty profound and giving us a lens into what's going to happen the rest of this year.
Coinbase just shut down. On the Chainlink thing, Kelly, we pumped about like 8% today. It's probably going to be a short-term sell the news event. People are going to think they're geniuses and sell a little bit of it. But I did see you had highlighted a good amount of whales or building bags of it, which is a good sign. Chainlink, just back up. It's a constant series of higher lows through the macro. People looking at the Chainlink chart and coming up with a bearish narrative in the long term on top of all the integrations, they befuddle me. I don't know where that thought process comes from. Ooh, is AV&T coming back? What is this?
AV&T got a little pumperton right here. Guys, look at that, a little 23% pump. Look at where this happened too, guys. What have I been talking about with the RSI? Super simple, easy cheat signal for everybody. Looking at the 15-minute, the RSI broke above this 50 line, which is right about right, right about right here. And these don't hold as exact on the smaller market caps. So you want to look at these regionally. Broke above, came down, found support, and just launched. Look at where this found support right here before the move. So money flow rounding out right in here too. Now this is looking good because this moved up without the money flow. Now we're getting positive money flow. This might be making a swing, but watch this right here. Option H gives you a horizontal line. If you're on PC, Alt H, look at where it's having trouble. All of the range lows, all of this area right here. So this is going to be a deciding point. Doesn't mean it has to blast through, but if this does drop down in any way here, you're going to want to watch for potential basically bounce at 55.5 cents. Or down here in the golden pocket, 52.3. That's kind of where you want to find supports between one of these two if we're going to have a continuation here on this move.
This is wild. It looks like Coinbase is true and tried down. That's absolutely insane. And you know what? The exchanges going down in tandem with AWS having issues is a further driving factor to push people to decentralized exchanges. That is something that is very, very interesting. I love.
But you know what? that may be why when you look at AV&T, pumping, this is why it's very good to understand the context of assets and how they fit into the ecosystem. Coinbase is a centralized exchange. It's going to use centralized services like Amazon Web Services, AWS, these cloud service providers that are centralized. Hyperliquid, Aster, AV&T, Avantis, all are basically on-chain exchanges, perp dexes that are not using these centralized, cloud basically operating providers.
Yep, absolutely. Crazy stuff here, and that is down. Let's go through. I got some stories tagged here other than my wonderful friend here in Georgia. And this guy I gotta find this guy. Bullish. Mt. Gox, the ghost of Mt. Gox will stop haunting Bitcoin this Halloween. It looks like the finalization of those releases of Bitcoin that have been locked away in the Mt. Gox debacle are coming out within the month here. Tokyo-based crypto exchange still holds around 34,000 Bitcoin ahead of its October 31st repayment deadline. Of course, is Halloween the 31st?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you guys dressing up as Halloween? Let me know down in the chat what the outfits are. And I got some work to do for the chat here because I am a official heavy metal singer once again, Kelly. I found an incredible band to tear it up with. So got some ideas for band names like Iron Salvation. We got Divine Wrath, Sacred Anvil, Thorn to the Cross, The Unfallen. We are a Christian heavy metal band, though. We're kind of the spicy iteration of Christians, playing heavy metal. So give me your guys' ideas for a good band name as well. I don't know if me and you can be Riggs and Murtaugh, though. My wife did not like the idea. I got to tell you, Kelly, I got to be honest with you. I brought the idea up to her. She did not like the idea of you dress.
I can't, I can't, I don't have the same swagger that Ted Danson does. So I cannot be Murtaugh. So I'm just going to drop that there yeah, that's Ted Danson. Yeah. Ted Danson.
But that was when he was dating Whoopi. So it was okay. He got a pass. And that was like right after Blazing Saddles. The World Was Right. Chemical Toilet. I like this one. Discover Cristo. Dude, Discover Cristo. Discover Christ. Dude, Echoes of Zion. I love these. I'm gonna have to go through here and steal some of these guys. And I'm gonna run these by the new band. This band has been like, they used to have Impending Doom members as part of their band. They've been looking for a singer for like 7 years, and they built an incredible band together. But there's other stuff we got to cover here. I got to get through all the news, Kel. So let's add this. CNBC confirmed Walmart will now accept Ethereum and crypto payments as you buy their useless garbage and potentially get your car keyed and have to run into people shoplifting through OnePay Cash integrated with Coinbase. Well, you better hope that AWS is working. Am I right? Elon Musk posts about his dog Floki on X, and the meme coin pumps by 29%. There's the chaos of meme coins for you. Do you still hold that dog meme coin on Bitcoin, Kelly?
Oh yeah.
Can we look at that dog on Bitcoin chart real quick? Because that coin does intrigue me from the way that the wallets are and like how there's no huge centralization essentially of it. It felt like something that's like an organic attempt at a meme coin on Bitcoin, which is chaos, and I'm here for it. How does the chart look here?
Yeah, I mean, this is what it looks like. It's been selling off along with everything else, but had a really nice recovery and is now attempting a breakout of a multi-month downtrend from basically from July to now. One of the things, and this is one of the reasons why it's the only meme coin I hold, it's because it's on Bitcoin. It has no paid KOLs. It has no paid marketing. It has no team that has these massive amounts that they can drop on you when they're pumping it. It was basically runes holders. When people got rune stones initially, everybody that bought rune stones in the first round got airdropped dog on Bitcoin. And so it's very Bitcoin minded people. It's not the Solana pump and dump. nonsense. And because it doesn't have any of those meme elements like all the other ones, the bad acting sort of issues that you see in memes, I was like, you know what? If you looking at the way the context of how it's launched is free, fair, and every token's out. There's no inflation, all those sorts of things. I was like, yeah, I'll get some. And because I bought much higher, I have added to positions on the way down, very significantly lowering my average entry. And looking at this now, I mean, this is, if we do get that start of a pump in the market, this can do really well. And I do want to also highlight, this got to about $1 billion market cap with 0 centralized exchanges. It was just people being aware of it on DEXs, and it's also bridged over on a bunch of, like, you can get dog on Solana, you can get dog on Ethereum, a bunch of different ones that you can get it through those DEXs. But the best is, it's on Kraken now as well. Gemini's teasing launching it. There's a lot of pressure to get Coinbase to launch it. But the thing about dog that's interesting to me is it puts pressure on centralized exchanges that say, we don't take listing fees. We take ones that have high community engagement. If you look at the mind share, social media engagement on Dog compared to other meme coins,
it's insane.
It's had months at a time where it's the number one socially engaged meme coin out there. And if centralized exchanges don't need paid listings in order to be listed, then why are they not listing one of the highest engaged coins out there that has done so well without centralized exchanges? So it's going to be a nice breaking point for different exchanges. Kraken's done it already, but now if Coinbase and Gemini do, I think it's going to be pretty magnificent for the asset price.
Yep, absolutely. And let's hop on over and keep running through all the stories here. So we already covered the Floki post. Also, Signal was down. Elon Musk was giving Signal some shade. Signal, that secure messaging app, falling victim to AWS being down. It's interesting. AWS is actually going to be sponsoring Chainlink's SmartCon on November 4th and 5th. There's a SmartCon event, and AWS is actually sponsoring the event for Chainlink, which is kind of an interesting overlap. Elon Musk is throwing the shade over to Signal for being down, and now Ripple price might be eyeing $2 for XRP. Talking about steady decline following the summer rally, a little bit of dashed hopes and dreams, lots of retail holding XRP, on the verge of breaking down below the ascending channel that has been respecting for most of the year. Price dipped sharply to $2, just under that, from that wonderful experience from the liquidity pool from, I don't know. Should I get off my tangent against exchanges? Because I think Coinbase was in on it too. I think Coinbase was.
I think they're all in on it, just like I think the US and China. I don't think the trade war has anything to do with them having tensions around stuff. I think they're, exchanges, same as the countries, orchestrate to adjust and manipulate markets so that they can have the right reasons to print. That's it.
And Trump came out today. He was live today talking about basically a step 9 to his art of the deal, where he is ready to finalize the deals with China. He's admitted over the weekend that the tariffs are not sustainable and that there is no long-term ability for him to keep the tariffs up to the levels that they're at. So, even with all of this back and forth that Trump's done, it is uncomfortable to see 100% tariffs, even 150% tariffs be discussed from the leader of the free world, America, the greatest country on the planet. But with that, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. And he's not broken a couple of eggs. He's broken a freight of eggs on a forklift truck. But it's the shakeup that we needed here in America. Like, I came from manufacturing, had an intent to go down mechanical engineering, and seeing the amount of stealing of our intellectual property and production processes, not to mention it's almost like we have our hands tied behind our back from the EPA here in America to be able to produce and extract raw materials. These things need to be pulled back so we can remain competitive. Now, in terms of competitiveness, I also got to talk about this. So Chainlink and XRP are always competing to be that next big thing connected to Swift, right? On October 22nd, Ripple is actually invited to speak. Okay, so this is a conversation happening between crypto CEOs and U.S. senators, largely Democrat senators, October 22nd, Wednesday this week for a roundtable. What they're going to be discussing is the proper regulations. Coinbase, Ripple, Chainlink, Uniswap, Galaxy Digital, all joining lawmakers to rebuild trust and restart long stalled talks on digital asset regulation after months of tension and political deadlock. According to Eleanor Tourette, friend of the channel, among those confirmed attendees from Coinbase, and then the chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, next to Chainlink, Sergey Nazarov, right? So it is nice to see Ripple finding, and this hopium is probably going to help the XRP army stay afloat. My aggravation is that the idea of investing in anything outside of Bitcoin and Chainlink is highly risky for me anyways. And when I see a market cap that's already $150, $200 billion, it takes a little bit of the excitement away. I see some. And what do you guys think XRP is going to end up being at its local top in the next year? Okay. Over the course of the next calendar year from today, what is your top price expectation for XRP to hit? It's a big boat to be able to move. Me personally, I'm feeling like it can hit 589 just for the meme aspect of it. 589 is real, but it's $5.89.
That's going to be 500. It's going to be 589 Thai baht, which is about 47 cents. No, I'm just joking. I think here's the deal. Even with hate on XRP, I think XRP is still going to perform reasonably well because it has such an incredibly large community.
And it has unit bias going for it too, right?
Well, unit bias and community, and the fact of the matter is, a good portion of that community aren't investor natives or crypto natives in terms of understanding tokenomics, due diligence, understanding what's going on in the broader crypto ecosystem. So it's kind of like Dogecoin holders. It's very similar. A lot of people get in because they've heard about Dogecoin, or they heard about SHIB, or they heard about XRP. They don't really understand what's going on in the crypto ecosystem. Now, I do think XRP has a little bit of a face saving to do, because a lot of the narrative that they pushed for so long was, being the rails for the banks. Now, maybe they're still going to do that in some regard, but I think the very obvious partnership and integrations that are coming from Swift with Linnea and Chainlink really took some of that thunder away. And I would love it, because there's millions of people that hold XRP. I would love nothing more than every single one of you make a killing, huge amount of money on it. But I know at this point, with what I know, I'm not going to start. If I was starting investing today, I wouldn't be like, I'm going to put a third of my money in XRP. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of upside expectations. I absolutely love your guys' ideas for band names. Absolutely incredible. Sure Did It is really coming out with the heat here, and this is real. This band is going to be, I'm going to be working with you guys, and we're going to name this band. We're going to play a couple shows. I actually just talked, I saw someone asking about Isaac. I talked to him this weekend because I'm turning this studio into a recording studio as well. And Isaac's planning to come out. He's shipping out in 16 days. He's very, very excited. And I'm super excited for him. You know what I mean? I'm super excited for him. Liking these XRP price predictions here. A lot of people landing in the $3 to $4 range. A couple people think $7. I think in a chaotic scenario of, Federal Reserve rate cuts really kicking over risk appetite, it could hit $7. You'd have to hit a pretty serious market cap to get there. But you know what? I mean, I've seen crazier things happen. And we saw gold add $10 trillion to its market cap in the span of, I don't even know how.
Dude, I got your name.
Oh, what? Gary and the Genslers.
Dude, Rob got it.
Lord.
You can see it by his name, man. That is funny. You could dress up like a 60s Motown band, but play hard, heavy metal.
Yeah. Let's see. How about a link prediction? I mean, like a reasonable expectation, like padded down, not too crazy. I feel like Chainlink has the ability to hit 70 or $80 without too much greatness going on. It's a much smaller market cap. CCIP testing on Swift goes live in November. So that's actually not too far away. And that's where the metrics can get very, very crazy, because the plan is to test crypto transactions for Swift on CCIP. And if they tested, and let's say this, I'll just lay it out this way. So the plan is it's a pilot test to do crypto transactions on Swift, the current largest monetary transaction system on the planet, using CCIP. Now, if they went and did 1% of those transactions as a test, within the fiscal year on Swift, that would bring it to like $389 a piece. If they went crazy and did like 5% of all transactions going through CCIP, that's where stupid numbers come in. $1,800 per chain link without any of us plebes investing in it, any of the digital asset treasuries stacking it, no more buying from Chainlink in their own treasury, right? Without any of that stuff, if 5% of those transactions went through Swift and CCIP, it's nearly $2,000 a piece. So it's very, very much so a disruptive technology. I cannot not see through and see where it goes. I've been searching for something that's actually going to catch that partnership with Swift directly, and Chainlink got it. So now they're talking with the Federal Reserve tomorrow. They're going to be talking with legislators the day after that. And then November, they're going to be getting sponsored by AWS, the company and system that is down currently as we speak, talking to them about what the next version of the internet and digital communications actually going to look like. So I feel good about it. I feel excited about having like an access point to Chainlink from where it is right now. And I know that I don't trust banks enough to fight for my life, for my family's future on the blockchain. And then there are Wall Street plays and ETFs that I do find interesting. I think the energy industry here in America is a very, very juicy looking investment. I think data centers are a very, very juicy investment. I think that the new age of America is being ushered in. They're going to print 10 to 20 trillion dollars to make sure that it happens over the next 10 years, thus rugging our buying power on the dollar. And I have to act aggressively with the cash that I got to make sure that it keeps up or outpaces inflation. That's the whole feeling that I have right there. It's not going to stop. They're going to compete with China, they being Howard Lutnick, Trump, Scott Bessent, and they're going to print us and the dollar into basically a tailspin. That's kind of what I feel in my heart. ZBCN, what is that? I've seen that a lot.
I don't
What
know,
is
but we
ZBCN?
got another band name suggestion.
Golden Pocket. Okay. Well, dude, crypto, like metal people generally don't translate over to crypto, but crypto people do translate over to metal, right? So,
Tim Arnold, you have a great question. What stock should I invest in about data centers? Well, one, I'm not telling you, I'm not suggesting this, but one of the ones that I kick myself every day on is IREN, because IREN is one of those coins. It's a not coin, it's a stock, but it's adjacent to the crypto ecosystem, but also, Bitcoin mining, but also AI and data centers. Mike Alfred is, very much a part of what they're doing as well. And they went from, like, when I first looked at the project, like $11, and there's I don't even know what let me look at IREN real quick, but they have been printing in a way that you're like, what is going on in crypto that stocks are just, it's at $57 now. Look at this. This is April of this year. That is 13x in price. And I don't think it's stopping anytime soon, because they're talking basically about having a fully vertically integrated everything from power to mining, Bitcoin and data center, basically AI, compute, it's basically everything in tech all in one. So that's one of the ones I've been keeping my eye on.
Love it. There's opportunity all over the place. What I'm trying to say, it's like Trump's ego is not going to go out without a fight. Economically, like, he is an ego master, though not a king. He is an ego master, and he's not going to go quietly into the night when it comes to competition with China and lifting the United States back up. So, it's a crazy time to be alive. I feel very invigorated, but I also do implore people to not get too lost and emotionally invested into the charts, you guys. We are crossing the Rubicon. We're trying to invest in some of the most disruptive technology this world has ever seen. Yes, there's going to be pain. Yeah, some of these projects are going to fall off the boat. Yes, there will be blood. But you know what? There is no other thing that I know more surely than that the dollar is going to continue losing its buying power, which is why we have to act aggressively. Does look like we have some good outlooks for what's to come in this Federal Reserve meeting as well. So we have 8 days until we have the Federal Reserve meeting, 8 days and 22 hours, 98.9% likelihood of a 25 bit point cut in October. And then we have a 96.1% likelihood of another 25 base points being cut in December. Now we move on to January. We're going to start sniffing the surface of this next year outlook. And as it sits right now, January actually is leaning towards another cut right now. So, but slightly. It's only 52%. Then you go down the line. It looks like no March expectations. If I were a bet man, which of course I am because I'm on 29x leverage, I'm thinking 3 to 4 rate cuts. A mistake from the Federal Reserve that mirrors what they did in 1979 to 1981, cutting rates into an inflationary resurgence, thus causing a massive, massive hammer to come down from the Federal Reserve a year afterwards. So my plan is to view this market as a slightly extended market, but not fall into the idea that these altcoins are going to go up and to the right forever. Profit taking is part of the plan, folks. I have goals, I have missions, and I am going to absolutely make those happen for my family. Did you miss naming the band? I haven't named the band yet. Throned Thrashers, maybe. I'm saving all the names. I'm going to present these names to the band members, and then we're going to make the decision. But I'm so excited.
Pull my fib. That'll be the band name. But hey, before we wrap it out, I do want to just revisit the Bitcoin chart and the Ethereum chart. We haven't talked about Ethereum yet today. Nothing's changed all the way since back here in August. Nothing's changed in the formation that we are in. Nothing. We had a little bit of a washout. We're back inside of it. We've been inside of it. That sounds weird, guys. We've been inside of it. But this is that range all the way back here since March of last year when we had that initial run up, got rejected again. We have broken through, and now we're getting that double washout like I've talked about for the last 2 years. Let's trap people. Let's go. So that's kind of what I'm imagining happening, unless we get one more washout down like this. But I think we're going to get pretty surprised here in the next couple of weeks. We're fighting this trend line as it stands right now. Not only this descending trend line, also this multi-month, almost year-long trend line here. So if we can get back above this, find support, then we can start being much more bullish on that. Bitcoin to ETH. It's in a descending broadening wedge. These tend to be fairly bullish. So we'd like to see this break out, find some support, and have a continuation. Bitcoin, I don't even know which chart this is. Let's actually go to this one right here.
That looks like a Jesus take the wheel pattern. First of all, that's a Jesus take the wheel pattern right there.
Jesus take the wheel, baby. This is just, we're measuring the different amounts it's pumped. So when people say the market hasn't moved, it's like you're forgetting what has already taken place, guys. Look at this. 683%. It's already actually gone up beyond that now. 382%, 141%, 62%. And these are all higher because the price did go higher. But this is just, we look at the price action and it's just in this giant megaphone pattern. We're starting to find a little bit of a bottom here, especially if this can push up and form any higher low. Meaning if this pushes up or even falls from here, if we can establish the first higher low, that's the first thing we want to see. Whether we continue up first or pull back here, that's what we want to look for. RSI on the daily is under the 50, so we want to see this break back above the 50. We want to see the money flow maintain above this. But again, guys, we're looking for these higher targets or potential gift from God buy zone. I'm a bull. I still think with all the landscape of everything we're seeing in this market that we've got some room to go to the upside. I think we're going to have a pretty good Thanksgiving into Christmas, especially with the rate cuts, as we just mentioned there. Yep. But curious, everybody here, do you think we're going to still be in an uptrend when it comes to Thanksgiving? Say bullish by Thanksgiving or bearish by Thanksgiving? Let me know in the comments. Comment down below if you're watching this later. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you're dinging the bell. Get everything that you can when you're in here in this market. Stay engaged with what we're doing because we really are trying to keep you outside of the emotionality of this market, because I think there's some boom sauce to come.
Love it. Love it. Love every single one of you out there. We're going to be making it just fine. You got to stay based and make sure to stay focused. I'm going to take the daughters to ballerina class. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode. Until next time.
Full turkey. Let's go.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the